Check, check, check. Perfect.
Well, guys, thank you all for coming. Why don't we all come to the front? We're going to join Dylan up here. Good morning, sir. Glad you brought your notepad. Yeah, I'm sure about your smart dad. I think that's the dad. One disappeared already. We'll just all try to set up the first 3 rows, since there's not going to be a lot of us today. What flavors do you get? Dragon fruit? We have a couple more girls. Always waiting. Is Matt joining us today? Yes. Okay. Yeah, you go ahead and tell them when you come in here. Everybody, good morning, go ahead. And this is day 2 of being on work. You have a 4-day break, or?
I get 3 weeks. I work a 9-80 schedule, which is like 9 days, 80 hours. So I work 9 days, 9 hours a day, and then I get every other Friday off, which is really nice.
Well,
It's worth it.
did you see anybody else out there?
Yeah, they're coming. Just wait for them.
We'll wait. We are going to be recording this. For those that aren't here, a lot of them on top building. So, our senior visitors. But, welcome. Do we have anybody else out there? Tony? Okay. Yeah, great. So who's a producer before? Kind of been the guy, the girl that started up, yeah. Started up, directed, and all that. You've only been a camera operator. Welcome. Come on in. We'll try to set up front as much as possible and make it where he doesn't have to use his voice. He's going to wear a mic, but mainly just to record. First of all, welcome, guys. Glad you're here. This is Dylan Gutierrez. I'll let you introduce yourself in a little bit. Have it, but this is a good portion of our team. A lot of them are gone, but we've got a lot of young people that are very, very smart and able to pick up on things really quick. Guys, if you don't mind, just take notes, and if you have any questions, I'm sure you'll be able to fill those pretty easily. But our main goal today is to improve what we're doing and even make some changes. Some changes we're not going to make right away because we're trying to save money, but there's some things we can do that doesn't cost any money. So that might just be a technique, it might just be how we run our systems. So feel free to ask those kind of questions, and don't feel bad if it means we have to change something. It's just what we need to do, because I think this is a vital part to the church. About 8 out of 10 people that come to our church have watched us on live stream. Every person I go meet, I ask them how they found us, and usually they've watched 2 to 3 weeks worth of messages before they ever came in. So you're a valuable part of the team, and I hope we can communicate that today. And we'll let Dylan lead pretty much all this, and then if we have any questions, we can do that as we go. Dylan, feel free to take over.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Yeah, like you said, I am Dylan Gutierrez. I am also Corey's fiance's brother, future brother-in-law. Yeah. So little Caitlin that runs around here. That's me. Yeah. So I handle all of the production slash broadcast at Royalwood. So been going there about 3 years. I grew up there, and then coming back, I got really involved in production. It's crazy. If you would have asked me 3 years ago, hey, what do you think you're going to do? I would have told you, hands down, I would have been a musician. I was doing music for maybe 8 to 10 years before that. I would play drums. I was learning guitar. So I was like, man, I want to come and I want to do music. And then I started going back, and the creative director at the time was like, hey, I really need help in broadcast. And I was like, you know what? I've dealt with cameras. I shot. I would take pictures from time to time, and I was like, let's give this a shot. And now, kind of just taking steps, and it's been a really good journey. So, I wanted to kind of start off, and he actually gave a good transition. But the broadcast and all of that is a ministry in itself. Like he was saying, we have a family at Royalwood. They're not at Royalwood. They live in the middle of nowhere, Canada. And they were going through a list of churches. They had like 5, and they were going through, and there's no church within like 200 miles of them. And so they have to stay there for work. He works there. They can't move. And so they have no way to actually get to a church. And they were looking through churches, and we were the last one on their list. And so they were going through the live streams, and they would do church in their house like a normal Sunday. They would be gathered in their living room for every church service. They found ours, fell in love. And that family now every summer comes down for like 2 weeks, takes people out to eat. They're up at the church constantly doing any task that's given to them. All their kids go to every youth camp, so they're flying them down next week. They're taking them with us to NAYC. And that all came about from them seeing the live stream and being like, hey, we want to be a part of this church. They pay their tithes to the church. So don't think that what you're doing is not reaching people. I know sometimes it can seem like, man, like I'm on this camera, but like, do I really make an impact in the service? You don't see the impact that you're making and the people that you're reaching beyond the doors of the church. I can't tell you how many times I go back myself and I'm listening to sermons, I'm listening to worship moments that were incredible in-house, and it's like, man, I want to go back and experience that again. And so from a ministry standpoint, I know there are some churches, it's like, man, we don't want to live stream because that gives people an excuse to not come, and it gives people an excuse to stay home. And it's like, if you see the pros of live stream and you see the people that it reaches, the cons of that, and the one family that may use that as an excuse to miss or whatever, it's like, no, the reach that you're getting far outweighs those cons. And so live stream and broadcast, it reaches people. It's a ministry. And yeah, you reach people that you otherwise can't. That goes hand in hand with social media. Do I have any photographers or anything in the room? Yeah, I'll take perfect. Yeah. So everything that you're doing from social media to broadcast, you're reaching people that would never have been able to. Brother Macy comes up to us all the time, and he'll tell us, hey man, these people reached out, and they get to watch, and they get to see these moments, and it makes an impact in people's lives. Also, very casual, guys. If y'all have any questions during this, feel free to stop me. This can be very laid back. Don't feel like you have to keep your mouth shut. If I say a word or I say a phrase and you're like, oh, what does he mean by that? Raise your hand, ask questions, very laxed. But you are, as a live stream team, as a ministry, you are a bridge between the church and the people who can't make it. And I know sometimes you may see the worship team and you're like, man, they're up there, they're giving it their all. They're playing music, they're singing, they're worshiping. You're the one that's relaying that to the people that can't be in the room for the moment. So yeah, the one thing, and lost my train of thought. So the biggest thing that I always tell my teams is the camera does not hinder your worship. I tell them all the time. On a given Sunday, we run a center cam, a dolly, and then we'll have anywhere from 2 to 3 mobile ops that just kind of roam, and so you can kind of get those shots that you can't get from like a center or a dolly. And I tell them all the time, I would rather have my center cam in a dolly shot and my mobiles be in the altar getting what they need during a service than have all my camera ops and they miss out on that moment. So I would encourage you, if there's a time in service that you feel, man, this is my service, I'm about to get what I need to get. I've always told my team, man, put down the camera, get what you need to out of the service, because this is why we're here. This is the main reason why we come to church. You can still relay the service through a center cam and a secondary camera, so that you're not going to be impacting the live stream from just laying it down and getting what you need out of the service. So we kind of it transitioned kind of into just kind of the kind of camera basics, just kind of foundation of cameras, and yeah. So small font. I should have made this bigger. Freeze. Where am I going?
You may have a few that have not been on a camera yet. Anybody
Perfect.
not done that yet? Oh, you'll have, okay. Corey? Yeah, okay, we do have a few.
Perfect. So I would encourage everybody, YouTube. If you really have a passion for live stream and you really have a passion for broadcast, YouTube. And you have the biggest creative tool in your pocket at all times. The iPhones have gotten insane when it comes to camera. I've told one of our social guys, I said he was having a real hard time with one of our cameras and shooting it and trying to like edit and color. And I told him, I said, dude, you have just a photography camera you can shoot on. I said, but B, pull out your phone. You can definitely get incredible shots from your phone. So if you're learning, if you're just now like starting off in the camera world, start off with your phone. Take some shots with your phone. Kind of learn framing. Use your grids. So, which actually we can do that graphic. I can kind of. Learn from YouTube. That's where I have learned pretty much. I've learned, sadly, from trial and error, but I've also learned a ton from YouTube. That is a tremendous tool. And just from a basic perspective, so your camera, you have white balance, you have shutter speed, you have aperture, you have ISO, and so all of those kind of combine to be able to give you the look that you're going for. White balance will be, it'll come from your lights. So whatever your lights are balanced to, that's what your camera will be. But then everything else is purely, you're kind of adjusting that. For video, it kind of helps. I know for any photographers, you're changing a bunch of settings, but for video, it helps because the frame rate that you're shooting at. So at the church, we shoot in 23.96. So we shoot a little more, it gives you more of like a choppy look. So like if you watch like an action scene, a lot of times those shots are shot in 23. So that way, obviously, they're not actually punching each other, but they can kind of hide that a little better from like the hits because you're not seeing as many frames. And then if you go to like maybe like sports or a race, you'll see it in like 60. So that will be more frames to where it looks a little smoother and you can see all the action. So at the church we shoot in 23 and it kind of gives more of a cinematic look. And I brought this, we used this at our last broadcast workshop at the church. So this is a little dated, setup is a little different, but I kind of wanted to just give kind of good shots versus bad shots, a lot of these came from our mobile ops, but from a foundational standpoint, it'll help because you can kind of glean how to frame, how to use lighting, because that's one of the biggest things is between a good shot and a bad shot is not only your front lighting, but being able to use backlighting or any source. And so like, I see baptismal in the middle, it's lit. And so if you're shooting, if you have any mobile operators, you want to keep your subject and then have something in the background that also isn't I guess busy, but you can kind of have this is my subject, give some depth, and then there's something in the background. And so a lot of times I'll see photos or live stream clips, and it's like they're against the singer's like just against the wall. And so being able to give that depth and being able to show, hey, it also makes the room feel bigger. You can make a room a quarter of this size feel like it's a room this size just by your framing and your the way that you're shooting your shots. So I'll kind of go through them. We IMAG in-house. So basically all our live stream feed is going back into our vertical side screens. And that kind of it's fun because you can kind of, our cam ops, a lot of times you'll see them shooting a guitar. And if our screens are over here, you'll see them shooting. And when they hear their shots up, they'll go, trying to see their shot on the thing. So it's kind of cool. But,
So IMAG stands for image magnification.
Image magnification, yeah. And so we run that, I want to say back in the day, they would do it only for sermon. They would kind of pop that because it would be, our projectors would be lyrics, and then when sermon would hit, the preacher was up on the thing. And so it helps too because you can kind of you can see it in-house and track a little better. So we IMAG. So I was kind of going through just kind of, the top left won't, I guess, totally apply, but when you IMAG, you have to look out for that mirroring effect, which is, that guy's name is Nate, and when you have 50 Nates, and there's only one Nate that's standing there singing, got a little problem. So that was kind of a thing to look out for. And then when you are shooting, if you do shoot mobiles, in the top middle, we have haze, and so when you shoot out from haze and your lighting is coming from the front, it doesn't always look the most appealing, bless you, as you can kind of see the crowd, but you always want to make sure that if you have to change any settings on hand, so if you have a mobile operator, if you have a center cam and you're moving to a spot that may not be as lit and you're changing settings on hand, make sure that the subject looks like they do in-house. You see in the top right, they had it way blown out, and so all of their skin tones are just completely pure white and popping. On the contrast, in this bottom or the left middle, completely dark, and so you're having, when you go from a shot that's top right and the next shot you go to is left middle, people's eyes are like boom and then zoom. So it kind of, you got to be mindful of shooting and exposing. So the biggest thing would be exposing and then making sure they're in focus.
We all just do white balance.
No, we don't. So all of our cameras are set at 4850, and then I think -10 for the tent. And so it keeps a consistent. We're actually going to upgrade our lighting pretty soon. Our middle area is the sun, and then the edges are just kind of dark. And so when pastor is preaching in the middle, you get a super nice shot, and then he walks over here and it's just dark, and then one of our lights is going out, and so it's pink. And so when he really goes over here, he just turns pink. So that's one of the settings we don't adjust white balance. Our cameras are set for, our shutter speed is locked, which shutter should be at least double your frame rate. So we shoot 23, so ours would be 1/50. And then our lenses have aperture rings. And so I try not to tell the guys to touch aperture too much, because when you shoot all the way open, you get that nice depth of field. So I think the lenses are 2.8, and so when you're shooting at 2.8, you get a really nice blur in the background. And when you have to adjust for exposure, you kind of lose some of that blur. So aperture will give you, if you're all the way open, it gives you the most light into the sensor. And when you're closed, it'll obviously close the light or give you less light. But it also affects the blur of the background. So the shots down below, kind of the same thing. The middle shot, I was actually super impressed with. I threw this on there. It was like a grid of shots that I needed to go over. And then the middle shot, so perfect example, if you can see it, that was our organ player of using light, because when you have a stage light that's pointing that direction and you're shooting from behind, you get that nice flare. And so that can look super good on stream. And obviously you still have a properly exposed organ player and you get that nice flare.
So you're saying that's a good shot?
Mm-hmm.
Middle one?
Yeah. It was, I threw it on there. I loved it. And in the context where it was, he was kind of moving around the organ player. So he started out with that flare in the background and then kind of moved down to the organ player. And so by the time he actually got to the organ player, the exposure looked good. He was pretty evenly lit. But yeah, I think the main thing from the shots is always make sure, if you're having to adjust any settings, lock those settings, make sure they're locked, make sure you are exposing the subject well. The ball always stops and starts, at least what I tell my team, with the technical director or producer. So all my producers and technical directors, watch those shots. If anything's changing, if anything looks a little off, fix those, make those fixes, tell your team, relay that to the camera operator, maybe go to a different shot before you switch to that. That way you're not like, ooh, and then it pops up on the big screen and you're like, need to get off of it real quick. So producers and technical directors, always be mindful of your shots and be guiding. I always tell our team, like, direct the team. Make sure that your cam ops know what's next, direct the service. I don't know if y'all use Planning Center, but have that in the corner, have notes on it. You got a question?
You mentioned two roles, the producer and the technical director?
Yes.
Okay, what do y'all do, or what, at Royalwood,
Mm-hmm.
what is each of those roles?
Sure. So on like service producer, we really only have those for bigger services, and it kind of just takes some of the weight off of the technical director, because the technical director has so many things that they're trying to remember. And so having a service producer that can be the in-between between what pastor wants, between maybe something that the worship team decides to do last minute. We have that set in place for like Easter, Christmas, just so that way that weight goes off of the technical director, so they can relay that to the technical director.
And the technical director works with, say, audio as well,
Mhm.
not just video. And they're
Absolutely.
kind of in between that,
Mhm.
service flow maybe.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, producer has kind of the in-between between the main keys of the service and then technical. That way technical director can really focus on the worship set, can really focus on making sure that all the key pieces, at least from the mobile operators. And I try and work everything from like a ground up. So mobile operators or any camera operator in general, I always tell, learn your stuff. The biggest piece of advice that I can give every single person that does anything with live stream, listen to the songs. Not only is it kind of worship throughout the week, I mean, you listen to songs every day. I got headphones in 50% of my day, but it'll get you in that mindset of knowing the song. And so when the service time comes, you're not sitting back on a guitar when the drums may be doing something really cool as an intro to a song. So if you start listening to that set list and you know it ahead of time, you start listening to it throughout the week, from a mobile perspective, you'll already be keyed in on, hey, like, I know the technical director may have missed it, but I know this song is about to have this. So you can get on that instrument or you can get on that soloist. Also, I don't know how y'all's schedule. Be in practice. Be watching who's the soloist. Ultimately, at least the way I tell the team, that should fall on the technical director. Like I said, keep notes on the planning center set list. And that way you can know, hey, this soloist is singing this soloist is singing this. Anything, all the information that you can have for the service will help tremendously when it comes to actually making the live stream kind of look cohesive. I had a structure, and I think I'm way off my structure.
When do you, as a technical director, what informs you as to when you should change camera angles or shots to different?
Sure.
Rule of thumb or?
So, kind of a rule that I've given the team is beats to a song. We all have Instagram. We all have Reels. If you see really cool like cinematic edits, they're editing to the beat. And so kind of same perspective when it comes to worship. There's big hits. I mean, there's a lot of songs that have really big bridges. There's a lot of songs. And so kind of feel the song. If it starts out slow, you don't really have to switch much. I've stuck, when I've technical directed, I've stuck on a soloist for like the entire verse. Maybe flip to a keys real quick, but I've stuck on the soloist for an entire verse because that song starts off slow. It starts off a little more, it's just keys and a vocalist. And so from a viewer perspective, if you're flipping back and forth between piano and vocal, they can be overwhelming and can kind of get people out of that song. And so when the song starts building though, when you hit that bridge, when the team really feels it, when you feel it in house, start switching more. So you're kind of feeling the song. And I tell the guys all the time, as mobile operators, move your physical feet. So when I stand here, so you have acoustic, guitar, I have about 5 shots that I can get just from my position. But the minute you move, you open a world to same person, different shot. And so as songs are ramping up, we have guys that will walk the entire portion of the platform and just be flipping from person to person, just locking on. And so from a technical director standpoint, I wouldn't say, I guess, any rule, but if it becomes a distraction, I think that's where the line would be, is know the song enough to switch when it feels right. It's a lot about feeling. And then if it starts building up, just start switching more. And that does go into the biggest thing that can hinder a service is a distraction in any form. That's not limited to broadcast. That can be an audio thing. That can be a singer thing. That can be a musician thing. And so our ultimate job is to do the live stream to a good standard. But secondary job, do not be a distraction. If you are anywhere and you are bumping into people are praying and you're like right in their face with a camera, try your best to be invisible. Try your best to, people know the cameras are there. People know that they're being live streamed. And so try your best to not have those moments of, oh, I just took this person out of the thing that God needed to give them. So the biggest thing that we could do is try not to be a distraction. And like I said, it's not just limited to broadcast. I mean, you have a musician that can maybe have a stick fly out of the drum cage. But our biggest job is definitely try to keep those distractions and those moments that we can't control. Things are going to happen.
In our context, we haven't used a lot of mobile cameras, which
Sure.
we probably should, and we can pretty quickly, we have the ability to add one in a given service.
Yeah.
But say if we only had two
Mm-hmm.
shots. One of my things that I don't like seeing is where it seems as if we become just glorified security cameras.
Sure.
Where we just leave it and forget it, and now
Mhm.
we're stuck on a shot,
Yeah.
and there's no movement. But I noticed earlier you said the ability to move as a mobile camera is one of the key aspects of creativity and be able to offer something different.
Yeah.
What do you feel like if you only had two,
Sure.
what things would you do to keep it creative?
Yeah. So if y'all seen any clips from like UPCI Music or General Conference, last year the cameras were, majority of them, I think there were 2 mobile ops, but they weren't flipped to a ton. So majority of the cameras were stationary and they were manned. And so one thing, you want kind of your angles, you want to not trick the viewer, it's kind of a weird way to say it, but you want to make your live stream look like you have more cameras in the room than you do. So if you have 2 cameras, you can make that look like 4 pretty easily. Do y'all have, perfect. So the second, if you're on center cam and you're running center cam, say you're on the main vocalist, the second that shot is cleared on live stream, you should be finding your next shot. You should be moving to, if you still want to stay that same zoomed in, you have 3 other vocalists that you can punch into. If you've messed around, which the best thing you can do is practice it, but slow zoom outs work really well. Sadly, that's the one thing that I wish we had, is the ability to zoom in and out. Our dolly just goes side to side, and so you can still kind of get some moving shots without, but zoom in, zoom out. If there's like a slow song, you want to start out wide and kind of start punching in very slowly. From a viewer perspective, it gives such an effect because you go from this live view down to you're feeling not intimate, but you're feeling right with that soloist. So I would say the biggest thing is always be looking for your next shot. And that goes hand in hand with listening to the songs. So if you know, man, this soloist is about to sing, but there's about to be a duet, that should be in your head is the minute that camera's clear, unless the technical director says, hey, go somewhere else, hey, get this shot, hey, get this shot, you should be locked in on, oh, let me move here, let me try this zoom out. And not just limited to zooming in and out, but pan too. You can start off on a singer, zoom and pan. Those shots might be some of my favorite shots. If you're starting off wide and you're going left or right to left, zooming in and ultimately ending on maybe a soloist, maybe the person who's going to sing that duet, that can give a ton of effect too, because you're not only just sitting on that soloist and it's flashing to and from different singers, but you're giving that feel of naturally moving over to that soloist. One thing, you want your viewers, you want the people that are watching the service to feel like they're in the service. And so when you're sitting on a chair or sitting at your pew, you're naturally looking at all the different things that are happening in service. From a viewer perspective, they can't look unless you give them that shot. And so be thinking, man, if I'm sitting in the service, where am I looking? What am I looking at? I'm not just staring at the soloist the entire time. I'm looking at, oh, I hear the guitar is hitting a solo. Let me look over there. And so you want to be constantly looking for that next shot and constantly looking for what the action, I guess, is happening in that song or in that service.
Another question. So, say if the room's full, oftentimes I try to do an establishing shot earlier in the
Absolutely.
service,
Mhm.
just so that people online know that there's people in the room. Because sometimes if you're always tight,
Yeah.
it almost feels like COVID again, where people are
Absolutely.
only focusing on the platform and there's no
Yeah.
one out here.
Mhm.
And it's good to have some depth, having some hands in the picture in the shot,
Absolutely.
things like that. How often are you providing a broad view of the service? Is this throughout the service, or do you only do it early on?
Yeah, so we pretty much beginning of every song, we have kind of an establishing shot. that will kind of show the room kind of changing, because our light scene will change, different changes, different transition points. If it's our miracle, like our prayer time, we'll have an establishing shot. So feel free definitely to be using those, because it can add a lot and it can make people feel like they're actually in. Because
Unless the church is empty.
yeah, exactly. We have to mask that sometimes. There's one section which you may be able to see it. Nope, of course. Actually, no. Okay, so in this section right here, and this is why I put it on the thing too. That's the last section to get filled. But what's sad is our piano is right behind that mobile op, and so a lot of times people will be shooting the piano into nobody, and I'm like, turn just a hair, get somebody in frame. So yeah, that making people feel like there's people in the room, obviously, and then feel like they're in the room will ultimately help. Any other questions? Any other wonderments?
I've always kind of used whether it be pan, pushing, pulling, things like that during music as a necessity. There are times when there's a soloist and you can't really move, but I like the
Absolutely.
movement just because it, especially with the movement of the song, if it's a high beat per minute song,
Yeah.
it probably moves slightly faster than if it was
Absolutely.
slow. Is that something that you take into account?
Yes, absolutely. So I think opener is always a pretty upbeat song, and so you'll see not only our dolly it's on tracks. It's about 10 feet, and our dolly operator, if you just watch our dolly operator, he is slow song, and then when it's a fast song, he's just doom, doom. So feel the song, like I said, feel it, and if you pan a little quicker, zoom a little quicker, obviously to a certain degree. You don't want to be, because that can feel like you need to throw up. So, but yes, absolutely. The hype, not the hype, but the tempo of the song and the feel of the song definitely goes into account. So moving more, watch the worship team too. I mean, if the worship team's getting into it, even if it's a slower song that's built up, feel those moments, feel those times in the service where, man, worship team is killing it. I know, which I'm sure if y'all have cameras in here, at any point in time, people start getting used to it. So people aren't going to be off-put by you having a camera near them or whatever. So yeah, definitely with zooming and panning, be doing that quick. We actually, one shot I love that I would see at General Conference is starting up tall and coming down. And so you kind of get that establishing shot. Not only are you going wide, but you're starting off up here. And so you're panning, zooming, and coming down. And so you get kind of a cool effect where it feels like you're locking in. And that can be a good establishing shot too, is starting out big, coming in, but coming in at an angle. Kind of makes people feel like you finally get to that, boom, this is the song. And timing that too. If there's like an intro to a song and it's just music, obviously you can start on music, but then the minute that soloist comes, you can have that pan down to the soloist. So it's all about literally the creative field. It's all about messing around, just finding what works. I can't tell you how many times I have broken a system to see if I can fix it, but that goes hand in hand with shooting. So it's like the only way that you can learn if it's a good or a bad shot is by trying it. And that's where, from your technical directors, communicate with your team. Ultimately, they're the ones that see everything from a big perspective. And so they're the ones that can tell you, hey, this needs to move. Hey, this needs to change. Hey, can you go here? Can you look at this? Can you look at that? So ultimately, the ball stops with technical director to be able to establish those timings of the song. But like I said, if you're listening to your set list, you already know what's coming. Any questions, comments, concerns, complaints? I'll take them all.
When the technical director is directing the team, is there any language or anything that you would use that makes it concise, that everyone kind of understands
Sure.
what your shot you're looking for?
Yes. So From technical director to technical director, I would definitely recommend having one system, one set of phrases that you use, so that way it just helps in the long run. If you're under one technical director and they use a different language than the other technical director, sometimes it can get confusing. They're not totally sure. But yes, so all our cameras are numbered, plus center dolly. So our main is obviously be communicating start of the service, but then it's just 1, go 1, 2, go 2. So it's very concise and people know, hey, my camera's on, my camera's not. So you want to make it, because too much chatter in the comms can, especially for somebody that's sitting back at these cameras with sound coming in, you're already hearing the worship, and so you're trying to listen to, oh man, what camera? And so if you have somebody waiting and going, oh, camera 1, let's fire camera, like talking a ton, it can get very busy. So I would definitely recommend keep it concise, but make sure that communication is clear to the camera operators. Keep that language kind of similar.
So one, the first one does not mean like get ready or?
Yeah. So it's get ready, whatever, if you're gonna do a zoom, if you're gonna do a pan, get ready for that. And then that way, by the time go, you can already be kind of in your zoom. So that way, one thing I would recommend, if you are zooming, if you are panning, make sure that that pan or that zoom starts before the camera or the switcher ever hits your camera. Because that can, if you're flowing, if you go from a panning shot to stop and then a pan, it can throw the whole, your brain sees that. Your brain recognizes patterns. And so they're gonna see that stop and then the pan. So that communication definitely helps too, because you know, 1, all right, I'm about to go, so let me start this and then go 1.
So like if you're doing a long pan
Mm-hmm.
and you're coming over here to the drums,
Mhm.
it's probably wise not to change directions during
Absolutely.
the live.
Yeah, so keeping that flow, keeping the flow, coming back a lot of times, you're kind of giving the same, I mean, obviously, just in the reverse order. So you're going, and then people have already seen that. So to me, it kind of, you want there to be more, you want it to seem like there's more cameras in the room than there is. And so if you can go and do that pan, now that's not to say you can't go and do it the other way, but wait a shot or two and then come back that other way. Maybe start on, if you're hitting the drums, if you end on the drums and you do want to go back, start on the soloist and go back, and people won't even be the wiser. Zoom in a little, change the shot just a hair. Yeah, and it'll be
You're looking for diversity in the shots.
definitely, yeah. Did you have a question? Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Oh, nice, cool.
Question about audio.
So, yeah.
So, did you capture your audio from camera or sound?
So we've actually swapped. We used to have a live stream audio setup. So it went from the board to, not Pro Tools, I think Logic. And we would pump that into the switcher so somebody could physically mix a different mix than what we were hearing in-house. Now we have it run just from the board, so it'll hit the switcher. So we're getting kind of the in-house mix in the switcher. Yeah, so our live stream is basically what we're hitting in-house.
From the microphone, not the camera.
Yeah, from the mic.
You don't water.
Do I have a water? Ooh, I would not be opposed. Good sir. Oh.
I was gonna say that.
You know, a little cottony.
You get your internet.
Oh yeah, it's in my.
I have them.
What's up?
So, when it comes to training,
Yep.
so there's music practice, right?
Mhm.
Is the team ever part of that whenever the live stream team is training, or how do y'all do the training? Because sometimes, you have service and
Mhm.
you have one person.
Yeah.
How does that training go?
So are you saying like a new person? So we will have them shadow our team for a service or two, depending on, you can kind of gauge it. Thank you. You can kind of gauge the way that somebody's retaining that information, but we'll have a full service where somebody is shadowing the team So they have a headset on, they get to experience everything, they hear the comms, they see what's happening. And before service, a lot of times we'll go ahead and give them that training. And then if we think they need a second Sunday, we'll give that to them. But in terms of like our live stream team is in and listening to practice every service. And so not only can you see that flow, but you'll know, hey, if there's any changes that aren't on PCO, they'll see that.
So the whole team is there for
Mhm.
Sunday morning practice. What time do y'all
Yes.
start on a Sunday morning?
We start at call time for our technical directors 8. Musicians start practicing around 8:15, and then 8:30 is when our cam ops get there. So by around 8:30 to 8:45, the full team is there and doing a full run through of the
Service
practice.
starts at 10,
Mhm.
first service?
So being able to be in that setting, and I mean, we've had numerous times last minute things happen. They cut a song, they change a song, they flip it around. And so if you're not in that practice, you're not seeing what's happening, you're going to go in thinking, oh man, we're about to start this song. Let me get on the drums because it's about to be it's I Thank God, about to be a drum intro, and they start with a guitar line. So being in the practice definitely helps. Cam ops, if you aren't actively on your cameras, sit in the back, watch practice. Whatever the technical director feels for that service, definitely. But I would definitely recommend be here early, listen to the practice, and then ultimately listen to the set list. Yeah. Let's see. I'm actually really glad y'all been asking questions because the camera basics, I left a few notes, but it's that big of a section. So y'all asking questions made that section perfect. So I appreciate it greatly. Oh, that's good. Yeah, too. So while this is up, framing, I don't know if you've gone over framing at all. Headroom is very big. So like for a sermon perspective, almost died. From a sermon perspective, I've had to get on our guys a number of times because the preacher, there's about his height worth of room above him. And so framing your shots, like I said, YouTube this. YouTube will have a lot of good references. Also watch any live worship, like a live recording, any live recording, watch their framing, pay attention to their framing. There's obviously the rule of thirds, so we have a shot that kind of shows that. Somewhat. Like this shot of, this is actually on the not good shot because they got the usher just right there. She's worshiping and you got the usher's white head. So the rule of thirds, this is a good example of it. If the usher is not there, so pretend he's gone. But when you look at your frame from a horizontal, you have, if you split it into threes, unless you're getting a shot like of a soloist or of a singer or of pretty much any, I guess, musician, if you go for those more creative framings, use your thirds. So align those people in the lines of the thirds. There's a third right here. I'm learning with y'all. So this line right here that's dividing, literally the thirds. So if you picture the whole projector screen and you have a shot and you want to get kind of a more creative shot, use those thirds. So frame your subject on this line to give it more empty space, give it more negative space. So if I'm shooting right here and I have a soloist maybe right here, get down low, frame them in your third, and now you have the baptismal light that can be a good background, and so you can fill that negative space, but it also looks really good because they're looking in the direction of your negative space. And so that's a big thing for framing, and that can take a basic looking shot, if I just shot it right in the middle, to a really good and cinematic looking shot just from moving that subject to that line and giving it that negative space. So watch framing. Like I said, YouTube is incredible for learning those different types of things. I know I'm on YouTube more than I would care to admit, and constantly trying to learn, hey man, how can I get a shot that looks like this? If you have a good live band, I know I watch Elevation, their live stuff all the time. They have such a good live stream look that I try and pick out, okay, what are they doing? What are they doing? Is your question?
Yeah, are there any specific YouTube
Channels?
channels that you follow specifically for
Um,
streaming?
Actually, there is let me remember his name. I think his name is Ryland.
Church front's pretty good.
Churchfront, yes. There's a guy who actually reviews live streams. He is, I don't remember his name. I think it's Ryland Russell. Yes, Ryland Russell. So he actually, our creative director a couple years ago actually submitted our live stream to his channel. So he'll go and do live stream like in his studio, and he'll review live streams and give you critiques and feedback. And so he has a bunch of different ones. I'm literally looking at his live right now. He has live streams pretty much every month that he's doing all sorts of talking. And they have a setup, I want to say, that's more downscaled. And so that's helped a ton, because getting that feedback and seeing what, hey, people are doing wrong. That leads perfectly into, if I can give any advice today, be teachable. That being teachable, I've ran into both. I've tried teaching people who are not, and it is like pulling teeth. So I would encourage you, be teachable. Know that any critique, any criticism, constructive criticism is coming from a good place. It's coming from a place of getting to that next level. So if you can take that in and learn from it, instead of the immediate response being, oh man, they just told me this, they're mad at me, I did so, like, be teachable. Know that, man, I make more mistakes than anybody, and I try my best to learn from them. The only way that you're going to get better and know what to do in the future is by making mistakes, but learning from them and being teachable in that moment. Because the flipped, I'll be honest, it's very hard to work with people who are the flip, who think that they know everything, and even if they're doing something wrong, it's not wrong. This is the way I'm going to do it. And it's like, no. As a team, you want to have the Victory Church look. Whatever that look becomes, you want to do everything you can to match that look. And so if somebody comes in and they're doing something else and they're not teachable, it makes it very, very hard. So that's one piece of advice I would give, is be teachable. Know that the criticism, know that the critiques are coming from a place of wanting to grow. And the thing that I feel like we've strived to be is have a spirit of excellence. And so God has given each one of y'all talents, abilities, an eye for it. If you're on the team, y'all kill it. If y'all are on the team, you have an eye for it. God has given you talents and abilities. And so in the same way that a guitarist learns the set and gives it their all to be able to worship on a Sunday, same rule applies for the craft that we've been given. So if this is, which I know we're in church, people serve in a variety of different aspects, but if this is your true bread and butter, this is your passion, learn it with everything in you, because you'll feel gratified when you come and you see a service, like a big service, go off without a hitch. It's like, man, that's really cool. Like, I'm using my abilities that God gave me, and I was able to send that off to people who couldn't watch it. So it's very gratifying in that sense. But having the spirit of excellence, what's my notes saying? Having the spirit of excellence, it's not comparison. So comparison can be a killer. But having the spirit of excellence is basically whatever I have been gifted, whatever I have been learning, give it your all. Give it everything. Learn from other people. Watch other streams. yeah, can, like watch YouTube, like I said, YouTube channels. Teachable, yes. Avoiding distractions, yes. Whenever that, like I said, I've bounced around quite a bit. This has been fun. Oh yes, so study and study and study. People get degrees so that they can be doctors. So if we come and we expect perfection or we expect excellence, it can't happen unless that back end work happens. So always be willing to learn, always be willing to teach. Anybody who's a cam op, if you want to grow, say, hey, technical director, can I shadow you one Sunday? Like, I'd love to learn how to do more. I'd love to learn how you do what you do. Ask them. I would guarantee you their answer is not going to be no. So constantly learn, constantly grow. Let's see. Any questions? Getting dry again.
Just not sure if it's related to this part yet.
What's up?
It's related to software.
Yes.
So, I don't know if it's part of this or not, but I'm just wondering, so when you do the live stream, is there something specific like that you focus on when it comes to logo, like size or like location? And then when it comes to music, are those captions already created ahead of time? Or I know that's probably a different software, but I'm just curious on what y'all
Like the
do with
lyrics?
that. Yeah.
Yes.
As well as like the preaching, like
Mhm.
I know there's auto captioning
Mhm.
for Royal Wood, but just wondering like if there's something specific y'all do when it comes to the tech directors and producers, or do y'all just like go with the team?
Sure. So for Sundays, we have a lyrics op, and that Pro Presenter feed is sent to live stream with one look, and then in-house with another look. And so we have an operator that runs that. And so for all the songs, they're running lyrics, and it's being sent. So we have, for worship, black bars that come in, and the lyrics are on there. I don't think, we don't have our logo on. I actually think if your logo is on YouTube, it'll pop up if you're live streaming in that like bottom right. So I know we don't push or we don't have a logo set on any software in-house. So the only thing that's being pushed to live stream separate from our cameras is our graphics. We have a separate graphics computer than what's being shown in-house. You may use that one.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was
perfect.
really quiet earlier, so I just want to make sure. Future questions.
So we have a graphics computer that's running all of our pre-service stuff. So our live stream is pretty much separate than our in-house stuff. So our live stream is just rolling a video that's just like, hey, if it's midweek, hey, welcome to midweek. It just has some music in the background, and then we fade into service. And that's being shown separately than what we're showing in-house. So in-house is a lot of like announcements or welcome to midweek in a different way. And then when we actually go into the service, it'll combine it into one show, and then the lyrics will pop up. In terms of our sermon, are you talking social clips or the actual sermon on YouTube? Yeah, I think.
Captions there whenever the preacher is
Mhm.
preaching.
I want to say YouTube is doing that. Yeah, because we don't have any anything running like somebody typing out the captions. I want to say YouTube or Facebook, maybe automating that.
What output software are y'all using?
Resi. So we use a Resi encoder.
Which one do y'all have from Resi?
It's the
Small one.
it's pretty dated. I think it's a 1081. Yeah, and that's been a big help.
Explain what Resi does for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So Resi is kind of the end-all, be-all for streaming. So it's our endpoint. So our audio gets embedded into our switcher, and then we have one cable that hits our encoder, and it'll send everything. So Resi has the ability to send to pretty much any platform that you want to. We have it on YouTube, Facebook. It will give you a website where you can embed that into our app. So you can have anybody who has a link to that live stream, the minute we go live, they can watch that. And it also saves all of your streams. So if you do use an app and you have sermons uploaded there as well, you can pull those, be able to download them, upload them to YouTube. If you wanted to do a separate, I don't know if how do y'all do y'all's live in terms of like sermon? Is it uploaded as a video or is it you trim the live stream?
We do the live stream full,
Mhm.
and then we trim it down at the end of service
Perfect.
in YouTube.
Yep.
Just because it's faster that way.
Yep, that's what we do. Yeah, and that helps a ton too because the views you get, if you upload it, you're having to bank on people actually going to watch it, and so the live stream, yeah, that's a perfect way.
I'll say like, so Resi, one thing that I would love to go that direction, it's just gonna cost a little bit more money to
Mhm.
do it, 'cause it's a hardware and software combo. But what
Mhm.
it does is it delays the streams a little bit, so
Mhm.
that if there's any inconsistency in our internet at the church,
Mhm.
you're not gonna have it, because we've run into an issue over the years where the internet's up and down, and then
Mhm.
we're buffering or something like that. Well, Resi prevents that from happening.
Yeah, so it'll delay. Yeah, we have, I want to say a 2 or 3 minute delay. So when our
Real quick, anybody with a question, use the microphone so the recording picks it up.
Sorry. Yeah.
Because I've noticed that your answer question's great, but nobody can hear it.
I'll pass it around.
Yeah.
yeah, we have like I think 2 or 3 minute delay. So there's a period of time where we're starting service, but we're technically not live yet. So yes, it does help in that fashion as well, because we have had power issues, we've had internet issues and all that. And so it does create that buffer as well, which is very nice in the long run.
If you could do a couple of things with our setting, and what upgrades would you prioritize next? If we currently have 2 camcorders,
Absolutely.
they're not a DSLR type of any sort, so you're not going to get a great depth of field or bokeh effect.
Sure.
But we have the ability for a young person to be able to jump on it pretty easy.
Absolutely.
And we have the zoom, autofocus, and then we have 2 stationary cameras, one on the keyboard, one on the drums. What would you do next if you were the director, creative director, and you want to make some changes? What would you do?
Absolutely. So from a, I guess, look wise, if you have the ability, are they SDI? Do you have an SDI ran over here?
I do.
So between services, maybe flipping a camera from keys to, or even getting another little camera, having the ability to go to each musician at any given moment helps. That's one of the things I definitely want to bring back. We used to have a drum slider and we don't. So having that ability to not miss a shot. So definitely I would say maybe one more cam over here, or if not, grab maybe a camera from the drums and rely on a different shot for the drums to kind of spice it up between the services. Gear wise though, you can get away with, we used photography lenses for a while with a Blackmagic 4K. I will die on the hill. I love Blackmagic. Their color science in any given room. I love Blackmagic brand. I don't love the witchcraft stuff. Nope. So Blackmagic, the brand, is a camera brand. Very, very good. Please don't clip that and cancel me. So they have the 4Ks, and they're relatively good priced cameras. And with a photography lens, we use photography lenses for a while. They can be very, very good in any setting. You get 2 of those, and maybe even just start out with 1 mobile. That can amp up everything. The minute that you can change LUTs or looks or like Instagram presets almost for video, you can change those very well in Blackmagic. They work really well in church settings.
Hey, Big Free Church.
So having photography lenses will give you that zoom too. And if you even wanted to keep your center cam as the camcorders and a secondary cam, you could just have Blackmagics, because you can match shots. So you can get LUTs or stuff that will match whatever output you're ultimately ending with. And so,
Can you explain
yeah.
what a LUT is?
Yeah. So a LUT is basically take a picture on Instagram and you swipe and try and find that filter that makes that picture look cool. That's all that a LUT is. It's called a lookup table, but it applies a certain preset or look to your shot. So with the Blackmagics, any of those shots, they all have our LUT on them. But if you turn the LUT off, it looks like it's super flat. Let me see if I can find a pic. It
Can
looks
you
super
upload LUTs
flat.
into the ATEM switcher?
I think you may be able to, because I know you can shade. So shading is like live controlling camera settings from the ATEM. So I would imagine you might be able to have an ultimate LUT that will apply to every camera on there. Let me look at it. Blackmagic Raw. I'll show you.
For those that are in here, we're in the process of relocating the church, which would mean we get a bigger building and all that. So a lot of things will change when that happens. So feel free to start thinking, do some research on ideas and what other churches are doing, because we're going to have major changes when we do that relocation. And
So-
establishing our look would be necessary.
That is basically what a LUT will do. So that's the image that the cameras are outputting, and then that's the one with the LUT applied. So it basically gives for more dynamic range. You're shooting very flat so that you can go in and it retains all the details. So like boom, flat into, so like when we shoot a live recording, all of the footage looks like that. It looks very just flat. No, like if you posted that, nobody would look at it. But then it turns into that. So a LUT just applies, and because the Blackmagic shoot in RAW, you can apply a ton of different LUTs and still get a good look because you're not having to work with a shot that already has editing done to it.
What camera systems are y'all using right now?
Blackmagic. Yeah, and I would,
6K or which ones?
we have 4 4Ks, 2 6Ks, and a 6K Pro. I took our 6K Pro for internal shooting, any announcement videos or any videos for socials, because it has built-in ND filters. So ND filters are like sunglasses for a lens. It will, if you're shooting outside, you have to have certain settings obviously locked, and when you shoot outside, the sun may just be blowing out the whole thing. So an ND filter, you screw that onto the lens and it's like sunglasses, so you can actually shoot. So it has those built in. So we use our 4Ks for mobiles, and then our 6Ks are center and our dolly shot. And even, I mean, the 4Ks, I would argue you can't tell a difference between the different.
Are y'all using micro 4/3 lenses on the what are those?
We have speed adapters. Yeah. So we got a like Chinese brand of cinema lenses, and so it's not like the big, but they're locked. So the focal length, you can't zoom. We used to run photography lenses; those work super well.
You don't have any kind of mechanical zoom in.
We don't. And one downside to Blackmagic is they don't have autofocus. So keep that in mind too. If you do upgrade in that direction, it doesn't have autofocus. Canon, I'll say this, Canon is a close second. If you go the Canon route, you'll get autofocus, but Canon has solid. My camera I shoot with, a lot of our reels is just a mirrorless camera, and they produce very good picture quality and very good color
How do you
science.
feel about Sony and what models? out
Sony's
there?
solid too. Yeah, the FX series, all of General Conference was shot on FX3s, FX6s, and FX9s. The FX9s I think were the center cams. The FX6s were the mobiles, and then FX3s were the stationary camera shots. So Sony has a very good color science too. I think Sony's color science is a little better than most.
I like Sony.
But obviously people are
Low light king,
low light key.
low light. You're the best in the
Oh
low
yeah. No, most hated on. Yeah. It's funny. I was talking to some people on Wednesday, and people are so for their camera brand and no else. Like if I shoot Canon and the girl that had came to Shadow, they shoot Nikon. It's obviously you have to take some jabs. It's like, who shoots Nikon? But every brand has their I mean, they're all solid. Sony is definitely very, very good. And yeah, so whatever needs you have, definitely look into the brand. I can proclaim Blackmagic all day long, but if it doesn't fit the vibe that you're going for, Sony is incredible, Canon's incredible, and their UIs or their like stuff is not hard to learn. Yeah, so in terms of gear, that would be my thing. And like I said, photography lenses, you can get used lenses. The lens that I have on my camera is a used lens from lensrentals.com. It's a rental site. That actually might be another thing too, if you wanted to rent a setup on a Sunday to see how you like it. Lens Rentals and different sites like that they have packages. Actually, I know I keep bringing it up, but General Conference used all rentals for that
Do they
one
just
event.
ship it to you? And you
Ship it right to you. Yep.
Wow.
They have a return label in there, and they give you like packing tape for the boxes. And so if it's something that you want to test and you're not like totally sold on a system, rent a few cameras. I want to say it's like a couple $100. Like it's not a ton, but you already have the transmitters, receivers, whatever you need, rent them from them. And then ultimately, a lot of times what they'll do is if you like the system enough, they'll give you a discounted rate from the price that they would sell it at. So like, hey, you already have the system. Do you want to buy it? And then if you're like, oh yeah, they'll give you that discounted rate. Yeah. That's a super good resource. What else from a gear perspective? If your switcher's good, I wouldn't even recommend doing anything with your switcher. That's the one piece of gear that I think stands the test of time. We had a little Blackmagic Television Studio HD that we were running for the longest time. The only time that it can get annoying is if you have to do a bunch of conversions, because I know a lot of the cameras don't have SDI output. And so having to convert HDMI to SDI to whatever your switcher has, that would be the only time that I would say maybe upgrade. Or if you're running a different show in-house versus live stream, then maybe look at upgrading your switcher. But if you have zero issues with your switcher, stick with it.
This may be a little off, but for your iMac, are y'all using a separate switcher to take the... It's probably
Yeah.
pretty complicated.
No. It's funny because I had to break it in order to make it work. So basically, Twitch streamers, I know y'all watch Twitch streamers. You know, like they have little stream decks that you can like press buttons. So our switcher is just a stream deck. We have a rack-mounted Constellation. It's Blackmagic's one of their 2 show switchers, and it's just rack-mounted, so you can't switch from there. So I have it set where it fires both shows at the same time when we're in-house, but then when we are showing stuff before service, I just have buttons programmed that will fire something on one show and show something on the different show. So there's definitely easy and cheap ways to get around that. I think the television studio had a button, like an ME2 button. So if you have 2 shows, you just hit the ME2 button and it matches. It just didn't work totally with what we were trying to do because we had different things showing on our live stream. It's actually kind of funny. Our live stream has black bars, so you're really only seeing a select frame of the horizontal, but then our iMag is vertical. And so if you mix those 2 shots, really the only thing you're seeing is like this square. And so our cam-ops have to frame for that one square. And so in-house people are seeing the full vertical shot. Live stream people are seeing the full horizontal shot. But if you're off on any of those, then one side of the spectrum is suffering. Yeah. What else can I? Any other? Do I have any? Ooh, yes. I was just about to say. Do I have any younger questions?
In your church, who basically makes the titles for the services in your church?
So I actually do. For our sermon titles, I do, and then We actually outsource some of our social stuff to a company, and so for some of our branding stuff, like Easter, that whole theme they created, they've been kind of a big asset, and so we outsource some of that just for some of the stuff that is consistent. We outsource it to them, so they create some of our branding stuff, and then we had another. Our previous creative director, he did all the new branding for, like, we had a big rebranding at the beginning of the year, and so they created a lot of the assets. But any of the sermon titles, was that what you were talking about? Was cool. Yep.
What did you say your title was? You don't mind? What did you say your title was?
I'm kind of titleless. I'm department head of our production team, and then I kind of oversee production / social media. So not, I guess, self-proclaimed creative director, but not fully titled. Yeah.
They don't trust
Yeah, no. Haven't got the stamp of approval for that one. But yeah, like I said, biggest piece of advice I can give, be teachable, learn and learn. Be hands-on. Like I said, mistakes are not the end. They are not. I will tell you, I will admit, biggest service of we had a big anniversary service, and I forgot to plug in antennas for some mics that we were using. And so on live stream, for the first 10 minutes of our live stream, they were just crackling the entire time. And when I found out that was the issue, my head dropped. So everybody makes mistakes. Learn from those mistakes. Make sure they don't happen again. If they do, learn from them again. But every time you learn from them, I guarantee it won't happen. What you got?
Okay, so speaking of that mistake, I know you mentioned some things about like the producer role and the technical director.
Mm-hmm.
Which one of those, or is there another role that's managing the YouTube and checking, like, okay, let's make sure we have good connection, let's make sure comments are going through, audio's coming through. Is there someone else doing that, or is that the same technical director?
So we don't. We have a computer outside of our booth that they'll check to make sure that the live stream is up. Luckily, we have not had really any issues with like audio going out. Well, I'll say this: we have little studio monitors in our booth, and so if they're playing something different than what's supposed to be playing, then we know that the stream is, and so we have another little stream deck that they can adjust. And so it technically would be the technical director because they're seeing everything, and the only thing that's actually hitting Resi is stuff that they're seeing. Like they're seeing the final output already. So if the technical director notices that anything's up or sees anything's up, like I said, we haven't had any weird issues, but if it did happen, people are super quick to like text. But that is a good point. That's a good. I literally said this morning, I was like, I hope I learned something too today. I'm gonna definitely put a position in that will monitor that, because it also helps too with chatting with people. Yeah.
Are y'all producing from front of house, or do y'all have a room, a production room?
We have a room. Yeah.
Okay.
So
how far away is that from front of house?
It is up, and so like front of house would be here. Where that speaker is our booth.
Okay. Is there a window or anything where you're able to see? Okay, that's nice.
Yeah, we're actually moving into a separate room that's kind of more, it's not confined, but it opens it up a little bit more, so we'll be more separate from the thing, but hoping that won't cause any issues. Mm-hmm.
Where do you stream? What platform are you using to stream? YouTube, Facebook?
Yeah.
What's most effective?
YouTube and Facebook, and then our app. Over the years, they've really, prior to me being there, they have pushed downloading the app a ton, and so we'll stream to there. In my opinion, Facebook kills it. The only thing that stinks about Facebook, which if y'all know how, I don't think you can trim on Facebook the live stream, and so if you're too early or forget to end stream, there's no going and actually trimming it. Facebook has, in our opinion, had the most retention and views, and people can share it easier, but YouTube is a close second. People are pretty consistent on YouTube.
So streaming the video quality is like, I think 720 or maybe 1080p.
Mm-hmm.
But if your cameras can record 4K or 6K,
Mhm.
are you doing anything with it after the fact that it streams? Or any editing,
No.
post-editing, anything like that?
So everything, all of our 4Ks are shooting in 4K, and then it'll downscale it at the switcher to 1080, which I would always recommend shoot at your highest quality, downscale from that, because 1080, showing at 1080, I feel like you'll get a better picture quality if you shoot at 4K and still downscale. You'll get kind of more detail from it. And then if you record, like we'll throw SSDs on little hard drives into our cameras just to record little moments and stuff to be able to go back and have extra shots for, but that'll be actually in 4K, and then we'll edit those from there.
Who is doing that, say, taking those shots and making something for the rest of the week that they can utilize?
It's me. Yeah. We have a little team that we have like a little photography team. I'm trying to get more people involved in videography to be able to actually like shoot stuff and then edit it, but not at that level just yet.
So I don't know if this question's already been asked or not, but what streaming software does the church use?
Resi.
So
Yeah.
not OBS, not ATEM.
No.
You use those as,
Well, we use an ATEM,
yes.
but it ends at Resi.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that where the multi-stream comes into play? Because you said
Yes.
you stream to Facebook and YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
From my understanding, ATEM, it only allows one output at a time or one stream output at a time?
Yes. So Resi, Resi is our end all. It hits YouTube, Facebook, and then it'll have a live stream link for like our app, or if you embed it into a website or anything, it gives you more. And I want to say you may be able to stream to like TikTok and stuff like that if you.
Resi's our goal. That
Yeah.
that would be what we want to do.
Absolutely.
The reason why we used to use Wirecast,
Mhm.
and it was good, but
Yep.
unfortunately it drew so much of our internet power, and so we had to make a choice. All right, which stream are we going to value the most?
Yeah.
Our video quality is not always as high as it should be,
Mhm.
so you don't want to make it to where, all right, let's put it on Facebook to where everybody sees everything and every mistake.
Exactly.
But YouTube is where there are people who want to be there for the message, they want to be there, they're going to go find you.
Mhm.
And you're going to be able to have that consistency and even archival option, because
Absolutely.
Facebook, you can't archive anything. And so we chose YouTube as that place where it can be archived, it can
Yep.
be found, it can be done in a pretty decent quality.
Yeah.
But as we build our skills in our team,
Mhm.
we would like to get into Resi and then go, say, Facebook and other ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and from that point, YouTube would probably be your best bet. Like, I mean, you already had thought it out and all that, but being able to trim it and name it becomes searchable. If I remember, oh man, Brother Cowsbury preached this message. I remember the title, I don't remember the day. Boom, pop it up, and it's easy to find, as opposed to Facebook trying to scroll through and find 50.
And they're
So,
deleting
yeah.
things after 6 months now, or something like that. I can't remember the date. But
Yeah. Have y'all? I may not know what I'm talking about in this, but have y'all tried Restream? Does that?
it rings a bell, but I haven't tried it.
I'm trying. I just googled it. I think my hope is that it would take whatever you're streaming and restream it to another, or it may be its own standalone.
I was really looking for a hardware option,
Mhm.
like Resi.
No, absolutely, yeah. I just made like temporary before like
Right.
the upgrades. If you had the ability to, but yeah, no, absolutely. Resi is the old. Yeah, that's the end all be all. Do y'all record in
Yes,
house?
we record
Perfect.
as well.
Yeah, so you can have kind of a backlog of all the stuff. Yeah, that's perfect. Sweet.
I've got some
Mhm.
things to say whenever you're finished.
Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
first of all, why don't we put our hands together and tell him thank you. Thank you, Dylan, for coming. Ultimately, we all know the church is for sale. We're looking at getting a bigger building, all those things. When that happens, we're going to have a budget set aside for upgrading our video system and broadcast. And so when do we start that? Do we start when that happens? Probably not. That'd be terrible. You're going to be behind the 8 ball, and we're going to make bad choices. So the idea would be, let's improve our quality now while we can. We can give ourselves enough of a buffer of experimentation. We can try different things, and we can build our own personal skills, whether you're a producer or cam op, whatever. you're developing yourself. So the first thing we can do today is develop our own skills. So you can do any kind of research, like you said, get on YouTube. What was the guy's name? Ryland Russell. Find him. I'm going to start watching some of his stuff. If you go to the live, so he has his archive of produced videos, but if you go to the live, it all has his reviews. I saw that. So I'm going to start watching that. Let's see here. But ultimately, if we're going to go to the next level, it's going to require a little bit more out of all of us, which is hard. When it's not necessarily hard, it's just different. Unfortunately, we haven't changed a lot over the past couple of years. We set this up during COVID. It did really well. I learned a lot in the process. But we haven't changed a lot. We haven't moved those cameras at all. We have, for special events, had a mobile camera. Alex has been one of the guys that he has no fear of walking up front with everybody and getting that camera going. Ultimately, we need more people that are willing to do that. But in order to be creative, we have to stop putting out technical fires. And that means basically we have to show up a little bit earlier. If we show up just in time for the service to start and then we realize that there's an update on the computer, then we're behind. And then we can't grab that camera and say, let's hook that up and let's make sure our mobile camera is there. So my request from you guys is, say on a Sunday morning, let's just set it 8:30 arrival, 8:30. I know that's hard. At a minimum, that would be the technical director, and that's what we've been calling it the producer. Let's call it the technical director, just so we're clear.